Google free fonts and you'll find millions of results, but let's just talk about 3 places that I know are reputable and we'll go over how to use them in Cricut Design Space. First is DefFont.com. This site is very straightforward and has thousands of fonts to choose from. There are different styles you can filter by and even directions for how to install a font, whether you have a Windows or Mac system. One thing to note whenever you are using fonts in any designs that you have not created yourself is the need to abide by licensing terms. So be sure to check those terms, especially if you're making items to sell. Next is fontbundles.net. What I like about this site is not only do they have graphics, they have a section under free fonts that is specifically for Cricut. And there's even a section in here with tutorials for how to download and use the fonts in Cricut Design Space. Now, this site does say the free fonts can be used commercially, which is great if that's an option you need. And just here's a quick look at some of the free font options. And the third site is creativefabrica.com. And this one, like Font Bundles, says their fonts are free for commercial use. But again, read the terms so that you understand exactly what that means. They also have free SVGs and add-on graphics, as well as classes for different types of things, if that's something you're interested in. And I just love this new pose font, and I'll probably share a project using this one real soon. So let's go over uploading fonts into Design Space. Now, to get to the fonts, you'll select text in the left-hand panel, which will bring up the font selection in the top panel. If you're new to Cricut, the Cricut fonts are what's available in Design Space, and the system fonts are those on your system from any word processing programs and whatever you have downloaded. Now, to see any newly downloaded fonts, you have to first install them on your system, and there's usually a zip file that you have to extract and then open the font file to install it. And here is that cool font from Creative Fabrica. Now, one thing to note is the text operation in Design Space always defaults to cut unless the font is specified as a writing font. So the writing only fonts cannot be changed to the cut operation, which you'll see here. Now, if it's a cut font that you want to change to write, then just change the operation to draw, and you'll use the square outline to the right of the operation to select the pen type. Now, some fonts will be labeled single layer and writing, and these, when set to draw, will look like an outline, just like this. But when you set it to cut, they can still be quite thin. So something you can do to thicken them up a little bit if you do want to cut these types of fonts is just add an offset. And you're just going to do a very thin offset to add a border. And once you have that offset, you can just delete the original layer or just keep the offset and select both layers and weld together. And here is the difference in thickness between the original and the offset. Let me know in the comments if this was helpful, and leave the word "write" to see some Cricut pen projects.